Hello, so in today's lesson, you're going to focus on rounding, estimating numerical values, and placing numbers in order. Now, in order to do this, we want to be very good at using our calculators. So get that calculator out right now, and let's figure out some of these problems. So I would like you to enter the square root of 729 into your calculator, and we are going to round answers to the nearest hundredth. Now, in this particular problem, you will get an integer value. An integer is a positive or negative whole number. However, in question B, when I ask you to find the square root of 98, you will definitely have to round. And the decimals that you're going to end up with will be 0.899. If we're going to round to two decimals, the 9 rounds up the second decimal, which also rounds up the first. So you're going to get something 0.90 when you round to the hundredth place. Now make certain that you fill in that value. Next, you're going to use your calculator to estimate 7/3. Once again, you're going to round to the nearest hundredth. Now here is a clue. The fraction sign is actually a division sign. So just type in 7 divided by 3, then you'll be able to write the estimate for 7/3. The next one is a little bit more complex. You're going to use the button on your calculator that has A to B on it, so that you can find the 45 to the 2/3 power. Give it a try. I will explain how to do it later, but let's see what you can come up with. And now for estimating 5 to the 0, once again, you should get a nice little integer value. Let's see what you come up with. And lastly, when you figure out -3 to the 6th power, just so that we're on the right page, you should get a negative answer and some very large number. Now, you practiced each one of those, and I'm not going to give you the answers to them because I want to see what you know first. When we're looking at using your calculator, we're going to try to figure out -3 times the square root of 15. Now, the first thing we should notice is that this is a negative sign, not a minus sign. So make certain that you type in negative. The square root button is on a key that is raised above x squared. So in order to get to a blue picture on your calculator, you're going to have to use the second key. Then you pick the square root. Once you have the square root, a set of parentheses are going to show up automatically. We're looking for the square root of 15, so we're going to type in your 1 and your 5. Close your parentheses. It's always a good habit to keep your parentheses closed, and then press enter. So when you complete the -3 square root 15, the answer you should get is -11.6189. Now again, we are rounding to the hundredth place, which is your second decimal. So this becomes -11.62. So practice until you get this answer. Make certain that you know how to use the second key and that you can use that square root. Now, for example number 2, do you see how example 2 is very similar to question F? The difference is the placement of the parentheses. In order to use your calculator to find this particular problem, you need to type in a set of parentheses before you do anything else. Then your negative of 3, close those parentheses. Now we're looking for an exponent. This exponent is 6. Your calculator doesn't have a 6. It has a button called the caret button. So use the caret button. Now it is not a blue button, so just hit that little caret, that's the symbol, a 6, and then you press enter. After you do that, what you should come up with is a positive, this time it's positive, 729. So in the problem you did earlier, you came up with a negative because the negative is outside of the 3 to the 6th power. So if you did not get a negative before, it's because your parentheses were not quite right. So for number 3, you're going to estimate each number as a decimal. Then you're going to place these numbers in order from least to greatest. So first, get the decimal values. So you've now changed everything to a decimal. Your first number should be 11.6. The second number stays 11.5. Square root of 131 is 11.445, which we're going to round to the hundreds place. And this line means that you have a repeating decimal, so 11.33 when we round. Now we want to put our numbers in least to greatest, least being the smallest amount. So the first number is your 11.33, your second 11.45, then your third and fourth numbers. And usually these problems are going to be a multiple choice set. So look for either C or D. Pick the correct answer either using C or D. For example 4, we have an expression given to us, 3 root 17 times x. We want to match the value of x that makes this expression equivalent. So it's a multiple choice question. The values that you're given here are x's. So what we'll do is perhaps make a table of values to see which one comes up to be the decimal equivalent of 18 root 17. So take a minute. I want to figure out what 3 square root 17 times 3 becomes. 3 square root 17 times 6. And remember, when you do these problems, you should use the order of operations. So I'm setting you up, but you have to actually key the numbers into your calculator and see which one becomes equivalent to 18 root 17. So turn the video off, take a moment to do this. So check to make certain that you get the same decimal equivalence that I have. Afterwards, you need to choose the correct answer. Which value, when substituted in for x, will give you the equivalent answer to 18 root 17. All right, so for example 5, we have a theme park. Start charging $52 for a day pass and $110 for a week pass. Last month, you had 4,432 day passes that were sold and 979 week passes that were sold. So which is the closest estimate to the total amount? Now, the idea is these numbers are annoying. So instead of using 52, perhaps you use 50. Instead of using 110, maybe you use 100. Instead of using 9,079, maybe, I don't know, maybe you will use 980 or maybe even 1,000. I'm going to try 1,000. That might work. And maybe I'm going to use 4,500. All right, but the operation you have to use. A day pass was $50, and I sold 4,500 day passes. A weekly pass was, I'm calling it $100, and we sold 1,000 weekly passes. So when you multiply, let's start with 100 times 1,000. It's just moving zeros around. You have 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So with 5 zeros, we're already at 100,000. Now, what is 50 times 450? You're allowed to use that calculator. So 50 times 4,500. What do you come up with? You might get 22500. All right. So 225,000. All right, so when you put it all together, it looks like we've got $325,000. Which one of these is closest? I'm going with answer A. So the questions you're going to finish up with. You have question 1, put the numbers in least to greatest. Make certain that you're putting them in order. Number 2, use a calculator. Type this into your calculator, hit enter. Which one is equivalent to these, unless you can find a more clever way. Again, use your calculator. This is the same as 5 caret negative 2. Which one is equivalent? And then question 4 is very similar to the one we did above. Once you finish this page of questions, move on to the next set of practice. So as you can see, question 5 is asking you to find an estimate, whereas question 6 7, 8, and 9. A little bit of review and one more estimate. Go ahead, finish up this question set, and you have a great day.